Hello everybody, welcome back. I'm the Strategy Professor, and at long last, we're back to doing some Total War Warhammer content. So as always, if you enjoy the content, please be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps out a ton on the channel. If you'd like to sponsor a campaign yourself, just email me at thestrategyprofessor@gmail.com. Let me know what you have in mind. It's just $3 an episode, minimum 10 episodes. But please do email me first before you donate, just so that I can let you know when I'll be able to start publishing the videos, just in case there's a queue of other people that also donated. And I appreciate y'all for being patient with me. I know I haven't put out a lot of content in the last few months for Warhammer, but I am going to get back on the wagon. I am going to be releasing a lot of content, and I'm very excited about Immortal Empires. So this is early access. I've had early access for just a little bit, not as long as some of the big timer content creators, but I've had it for a few days. And I had thought about doing, because of our embargoes, I'm not allowed to start releasing the new DLC people until August the 19th. So as of, I don't remember what today is. I think today's the 16th? 17th. Okay, so it's just a couple of days away. So I thought about doing, Sigvald was interesting, or Archaon. But honestly, the DLC, these are the best ones. They're the most interesting. I think they're probably the most powerful in most situations, with the exception maybe being Be'lakor. Be'lakor's pretty strong. But I really like just the ones that are devoted to specific gods. And I'll go over some of the reasons when we get in there. And you know which one I'm going to start with. If you've been a fan of the channel, it's going to be Nurgle. I still think he's the most powerful one, just like original Kugath was the most powerful lord for Warhammer 3. And I stand by that if you play it correctly. It's just very difficult. A lot of people just struggled with that a bit on the baseline game and didn't rate Nurgle very highly. But I think Nurgle's incredibly powerful. Slaanesh being the second most powerful of the original one, in my opinion. Now, the question is this version of Nurgle better than Nurgle proper? And we'll talk about that more as we get in there and look at some of the systems. But it's a very similar style of play. So if you manage to vassalize factions, then they spread Nurgle corruption, and they gain poison attacks. You can make plagues. You're a little bit more limited than Nurgle proper. We'll talk about that when we get in there. But you still have a pretty good selection of plagues. You get plus 25 souls whenever a plague is spread. That's a kind of currency you can spend on things. We'll talk about that in there. Plague duration is plus 3 turns for any armies in the province where Festus is. And then your base healing cap is plus 25% for your Lord's army. So I think the normal healing cap is like 100% of the unit's HP. I might be wrong about that, but I think it's 100%. So now you can go even further. And there's a lot of healing, so it's definitely possible to hit that cap. Okay, let's go ahead and get in here. So again, I'm recording this a little earlier, but I'm going to be able to release it on the 19th. I think some of the other bigger time content creators have been able to release the DLC probably about 5 days earlier. So you've probably seen some of the other content as well with Warriors of Chaos, but I'll go ahead and go over sort of the gist of it. It's kind of strange in the way that it's an amalgamation of some of the different properties of different lords. And a stock system. It's got kind of like a Raise Dead system, kind of almost like a Nurgle system with the gifts. So it's an interesting mixture of different things. So we don't have you start off with a Dark Fortress here. Usually, in fact, with all the other ones that I've looked at, you have to fight a battle initially and then take it. But it just gives you one with Nurgle. It's an easy battle. You win it, almost automatically. With any of the other factions. I forgot to mention as well, this is of course legendary, very hard, and I didn't show you much of the menu screen, but there are these in-game scenarios that you can toggle which ones you want to be available. I think there's like 5 or 6 of them. If you leave them all checked, it'll give you a random one, and you can choose the time, like a time range. So I just picked the default between turn 100 and 150, and I left it at 100%. In the future, I'll update it to 200%. I just forgot to change it. I don't think it's going to matter that much for this playthrough, but we will go up to 200% in future campaigns. So I don't really know what happens. Like, I think armies just spawn near your territories and just start attacking you, almost like the Vortex campaign. So we'll just see whenever that happens, but I haven't encountered that yet, so I don't have a ton to say about it. But I like that there is diversity there, which is cool. So basically, when you're in an area, you can do warband recruitment, and it's a stock system, kind of like Raised Dead. You get the units instantly, but there's a very limited supply, and it's based on how corrupt the area is and the type of corruption in the area, I believe. So if it's heavy Nurgle corruption, you might see some Nurgle units pop up. If it's Khorne, you might see some Khorne units. If it's undivided, you'll get undivided units. And then it tells you right here, like, what the conditions are. So it says this specific unit is usually found in frozen or places with high Nurgle corruption. And the number and type available in the province, and their replenishment rates are affected by local corruption, climate, and buildings. Okay, so you could get more that are available. They could replenish faster. It's like, you know, have higher than a 20% chance. I'm still kind of feeling it out. It also says according to buildings that are available. So if you have higher tier towns, like in a fortress, I think it's a higher probability, but I don't know the exact math on any of those things. And then when you click on units, you can choose to mark them, and this effectively gives them a shift in their stats that match the style of the faction. So for example, if you mark something with Nurgle, like I've got some Chaos Warriors that are marked with Nurgle, they're not demonic, but they do get more HP, more melee defense, poison on their attacks, but they lose some melee attack and they lose some speed. So it makes them Nurgle-ish, right? But they have really high armor, shields, a high HP pool. So Nurgle is a very good candidate for, you know, buffing up your Chaos Warriors, because they're naturally going to be pretty slow and heavily armored, and the armor works really well with all of these things, right? With lowering their damage by 15%, having a higher HP pool, which also affects the regeneration rates, because all regeneration is not a flat number anymore, it's a percentage of max health. So the more health your units have, the more flat benefit in terms of HP that they're going to gain from regeneration effects. So that's really powerful. So only traditional Chaos units can be upgraded. And the kind of weaponry they have is also themed around your lord. So you can get great weapons or just normal ones here. I don't have the other marks for like Tzeentch or Khorne or any of that, but it's all appropriate. Like Tzeentch can only get halberds, normal or halberds. Khorne can get double-handed great weapons or halberds. And Slaanesh can get the flails, which is like a more melee defense but less offense, which is kind of weird. With like they gave Slaanesh more defensive options, I guess, because people were complaining they were too high skill cap before. Now some of them will get Cloud of Flies. Like the spawn looks like it gets Cloud of Flies, which is the extra like 6 melee attack. But I think those are, they don't count as demon though. Versus most of the other ones do not get Cloud of Flies. No. But basically, you can pay to upgrade this, and then you have to have so many ranks and certain technologies to be able to upgrade. So if you get a rank 7 on your halberds, or on your Chaos Warriors, then you can move that up to great weapons. And then I don't know about Aspiring Champions. We're going to have to see when we get to that. But we're going to... I think we'll go ahead and upgrade this to a Nurgle. Or to a great weapon. Just costs a little bit of gold. And the reason that I'm going... Normally I would just do normal weapons instead of great weapons. But there's a technology eventually where you get bonuses. Plus 3% weapon damage per rank for all great weapon units. And all great weapon units cause fear. So, they really want you to do great weapons. And those scale better later on into the game. Now, Chosen, it looks like if you go this way, you get Regeneration on Aspiring Champions, and you get Cloud of Flies on Aspiring Champions and Chosen. Incredibly powerful when you get both those. Because, again, those are heavy HP, heavily armored, shields, all this stuff. They're going to be almost impossible to kill. And this tree is different than the other Warriors of Chaos. We're going to get into a fight, by the way. I'm just walking you through a couple of these really quick for the first episode, then we'll move a lot faster. This allows you to mark... It gives poison attacks to Aspiring Champions as well, and this allows you to mark undivided units with Nurgle, which we just did. You get +1 authority for each gift of Nurgle active. We'll talk about those a little bit more in a second. But that's powerful. And then this middle tree here, it's kind of weird the way that it's laid out, but all this stuff in the middle is for undivided. And frankly, it's not that great. The only two that really matter, I think, early on, and I could be wrong about it, but the only ones that really matter are being able to upgrade to Chosen once your units are high enough level, and then being able to upgrade to Chaos Knights. So you need to get those techs to be able to do that. And then the rest of this is kind of whatever. But you really don't want a lot of undivided corruption, because that's going to be competing with your Nurgle corruption. That was a big problem with some of the other lords that start off in the north. Is like, it's hard to establish your corruption for them because there's so much undivided everywhere, because everywhere's just naturally undivided. All the lords are undivided, all that stuff. And once undivided gets so high, once it's like capped out at 100, it does -5 for all other kinds of corruption. All the corruptions do that. So it's really, really hard to break into an area. However, Nurgle is the best at spreading corruption of the Warriors of Chaos, because Slaanesh no longer has the shrines where you can just kind of spam heroes and just put shrines everywhere and spread corruption that way. But their plagues just do a crazy amount of corruption that they can spread all over the place. So Nurgle is the corruption king, and I think that's one of the major contributing factors why I think he's the strongest. Okay, then you get extra corruption from all of your altars. We'll show you the altars. It's basically just like little outposts you can get in non-fortress areas. We'll show you a fortress here in a second too. Extra growth effects for Dark Fortress military buildings. Down here, you have something that gives a lot of extra healing. Now, this is an army ability, so when you kill so many things, or when you take so much damage, whatever the requirement is, it's your army ability, just like other Warhammer 3 factions. So it can affect up to 5 units, and it heals for quite a bit. Looks like about 9%-ish of the max HP of all the units, and then also gives them back some vigor. So it's pretty good. This allows you to hire direct recruitment of exalted heroes of Nurgle, which are pretty powerful. And then +2 for exalted heroes. Over here, allegiance points for alliances or vassalage with Nurgle. Factions, +15. Diplomacy is kind of whatever. Now, this is an extra 25% of spreading plague on all of your armies, and it gives vision, which is huge. That's basically going to give you map hacks late game, because there's going to be plagues everywhere. This one gives extra fecundity, so extra replenishment for a bunch of units in range again. This one gives you Slime Trail for champions and Chosen of Nurgle, so that lowers their melee attack by 5. And then minus 25% vigor loss reduction for Chosen and Chaos Warriors of Nurgle. Again, really good. Summon from Beyond. I'll show you that. That's part of a gift. You can get this the +3 per rank, so by the time you get up to rank 9, 27% extra damage is pretty good. This is a direct damage spell, and you have to have 3 bars worth of resources in a battle in order to use this. So it's very, very expensive, but it does a lot of damage. The fecundity one is 2 bars of resource. So this one's a little more expensive, but if you already have enough regeneration anyways, it's going to be pretty good, and it allows you to have 1 extra gift of Nurgle, which is good. You can get up to 4 gifts of Nurgle. We'll show you what that is, which Nurgle has some really nice ones. Okay, so we just want to start off here, and then we'll kind of choose. I'm not entirely sure to devote to Nurgle. I feel like I want to go down to this one first for this extra corruption. But let's go ahead and get a fight in here, and then we'll show you some more. Okay. Go ahead and put this guy in here. And Festus himself is, like, absurdly powerful early on. Now, I don't know if we have enough to... Okay, we do have enough to corrupt. Now, as far as these plagues go, I said we were going to fight, but I need to put a plague on him, I think, before, just so that I might be able to spread it to them. And benefit from a spread. So, you have your usual... Big Daddy plagues down here. They changed a couple of these up, but a lot of these are very similar. So plague duration, 5 turns. I think that's what it was with Kugath. Kugath may have been a bit higher. Chance of spreading, +15%. Extra 4 corruption, which is big, and growth. growth really doesn't matter, I don't think. I might be misinterpreting the Dark Fortresses. We'll talk about it after the battle. But you get growth there, income from sacking and looting. Now, this has been nerfed substantially. This used to be, it's 250% with Kugaths. You would just get, like, insane sacks, like 100,000 gold sacks and stuff, if it's, like, a tier 5 capital. So they've dialed that back, presumably because you have the Dark Fortresses, which can give you money, versus Nurgle proper. Their income is pretty bad from their building, so you need that sack money a lot of times. So 100% is still good, though. It's better than nothing. Casualty replenishment rate, 35%, obviously insane. You get extra experience per turn, so your whole army is just going to go back to full health every time if you have that. And this is in addition to all of the other 3 effects that each one of those cause, which we'll look at here in a second. It doesn't let me click on it and show it over here for some reason. You have the spell resistance, it's whatever, it's not like that big of a deal. Because remember, spell resistance doesn't affect magical attacks anymore, it's only spells. And then Nurgle's Rot. So this is your classic, like, extremely powerful business plague when you're about to fight a tough battle. That 20% physical resist on top of your demonic Nurgle units already having 20%. So that's going to be 40% physical resist in addition to everything else, all the regeneration. It's just insane. Like, they're just never going to kill your units. They already can't most of the time. That's going to make it where they really can't. So this is the most powerful one if you're just really wanting to kick some butt and fight, like, hard. This is if you're going to be greedy and you want a lot of money. So with Empire, when I practiced, I ran for this one, but we're just steamrolling Empires so hard in my practice one that I might actually try this one just for the greed. Also, there aren't a lot of Dark Fortresses around Empire. Most of them are up north. So we might start off with this one. So this is Buboes, Gut Rot, and Weeping Eyes. So Buboes over here gives your army plus 10% replenishment, plus 1 Nurgle authority, which is extremely good. The enemy non-Nurgle armies get minus 50% healing cap, which doesn't matter against most factions. That'd be very good against vampire counts, but other factions probably won't matter that much. And you get plus 5 infections when a plague spreads, and you get corruption. So you've got Buboes, what was it, Gut Rot, Buboes, Gut Rot, and Weeping Eyes. Okay, so Buboes, it's always the top one, the very bottom one, and then one random one, like a tier 1 from another tree to make these special plagues. Minus 40% ammo during siege battles, so pretty good. You're going to be getting shot up by a lot of arrows when you're going against Kislev, Empire, a lot of factions, so that's pretty handy. And then Weeping Eyes. Accuracy and range are down. That's not that impressive. It's kind of wimpy. But again, you're getting all of these other things too. You're getting the corruption, you're getting the spread, and you're getting all that money, which is nice. Now, the 20% one is Rot, Limb Blight, and Constant Vomiting. So the Rot is handy because you get that extra souls from battles, which is good. You get minus 8 leadership on non-Nurgle factions, which is obviously quite strong. You get to summon 2 Plague Bears, which is really good. And then the constant... Oh, that's the constant vomiting. And then Limb Blight, minus 10% is sort of whatever. But 2 free Plague Bears and minus 8 leadership. That's good. And this one, yeah, you get the extra souls versus this gives you replenishment. But like I said, I think we'll start off with the money one. So I think we'll just go ahead and throw one down right here on him, so there's a chance to spread potentially. Now I believe it snapshots. If you're not familiar with that term, it like checks how many turns it's supposed to last, and the spread. I believe the spread duration also is affected. So yeah, so he's getting 6 turns instead of 3 because it's an extra 3 turns on any plague in his army. And so when it spreads, it'll be 6 there. So the thing that you really want to do is stack up a bunch of these modifiers that add extra turns and snapshot that on one place that spreads a lot. And then when it spreads to all these other places, it'll have like 15 turns or something. And then it'll spread to other places. Then it can bounce back and forth where places start giving each other these different plagues, and so it just starts like this eternal plague that's always spreading. So you really want those turn timers and the spread duration all stacked up in one place, and you make that kind of the central location. Okay, let's go ahead and fight. I don't think we need to do anything else. Oh, we can go ahead and throw down a gift. So basically how these gifts work, and I promise we'll do the fight right after this, because I do want to throw this down and hire the guy before we do this first fight. So basically, you have souls over here. You get them from winning battles, spreading plagues, and then you can spend them on these resources. So basically, you have to have a certain amount of soul sacrifice from anywhere, so resources spent, in order to unlock them. So this one, you have to have 5,000. This one, 2,500. And then you pay basically a startup fee of this number, this 500, and then you pay a subscription fee basically. Every turn it's going to take 50 from you to have it. And you can only have one per slot active. So with Nurgle, you can have 4 Nurgle ones. With most other factions, I believe you can have 2 of each. But with Nurgle, you can have 4 Nurgles and 3 undivided, I think. So you have a few fewer, I believe. I don't know the exact, was it 7 versus like 9, usually maybe 10. But having them all concentrated and themed around Nurgle stuff is really good. So the early ones, this one gives you Plague Bearers. So 1 unit of Plague Bearers, 1 unit of Nurglings every 3 turns. So Plague Bearers are okay, but they kind of fill the same role as your Chaos Warriors, which is basically just sit there and soak a bunch of damage. So I don't think they're that great. In this army, they're really good in Nurgle proper, but because you have access to Chaos Warriors early, you may not need them. Now, with other armies, we might get them. But for now, that it's good. It's just outdone by other things you already have access to. This plus 75 per region after winning a battle in all of your provinces. So that sounds really OP, but again, the only things that matter are your Dark Fortresses, and I don't think you need to level those up as fast. Or the thing that's going to be the problem for most of them is the money, not the growth. I think. Could be wrong about that one. But maybe later in the game we can revisit that. But this is really what you want, and this is incredibly good. You get one of these things, this Beast of Nurgle. Now, these are really good units, but they're hard to get with Nurgle proper because it requires a special kind of building that's not as useful as other buildings, at least unless they've rebalanced it. You pretty much just want to rush the Soul Grinders on Nurgle, like that Soul Grinder tree, which gives you Chaos Spawn, Forsaken, and Soul Grinders eventually. Check out my Nurgle guide if you want to see more on that. So this was a cool unit that you just couldn't really get a lot of the time. But now you can, and they're just like everything you would want just about in a support unit, right? So it's got a good amount of HP, pretty good armor for a Nurgle unit, poison attacks, magical attacks, armor-piercing attacks. It's got the physical resist. It's got Slime Trail, which is the -5 melee attack. It has the Flies, which is another 9 melee defense. That's going to be like 43 melee defense. And it has regeneration. And it disrupts unit formation. So it just kind of like flops around and knocks stuff over, which makes it easy to kind of cut through and sort of break up some of those infantry blobs that happen around Nurgle near, when you're trying to bust into towns and things like that. So really, really good unit. And it's a siege attacker, so it can help break down doors. I mean, it's just everything that you want as Nurgle. So we're going to go ahead and grab one of those. And we have an undivided one. Undivided it has one thing early that's good for support, but then it really is kind of bad until late game. When you can get some other stuff. Like being able to get the, Shoggoth really late game can be good. But a lot of these later game things are like upkeep for Marauders. I guess if you're going really wide, if you have like 5 armies or something, that's probably pretty good. So, I don't know. Maybe we'll come back and use it. But the main one that you want early on is this right here. It gives you 15% missile resist on everything. And then you get Shatterstone, which basically allows you to break an extra wall every battle. So, it's pretty good. Especially because Nurgle historically is kind of vulnerable to missiles. Not as much as people say, because you have so much regeneration. But It is a thing. Like, you do have to be careful with that. Oh, we can't even hire the beast yet because we don't own this property. Okay. Well, whatever. We'll hire it at the end of this turn. Okay. We're going to fight it just so we don't get clowned here. Because auto-resolve still doesn't favor you as much, especially on Legendary. You have a very good starting army, by the way, too. For this, like, style of fighting. The Giants are actually quite good. Now, if they get hard focused by missiles, it could be a problem. But because they have such high HP, they get a lot of benefit from regeneration. Because, again, regeneration is based on max HP, so... Now, you can upgrade things like Marauders, but my big problem with Marauders is that they just never get any kills. Hardly. Like, it just takes forever for them to get experience. There might be some skills with some factions or some technologies and stuff that help them out, but early game, it's just really hard to get them upgraded, so... I'm not even sure if it's worth a lot of times. Now, I guess one thing, if you do great weapons, it does make you more vulnerable to missiles because you don't have the shield. So, you still have a hell of a lot of armor and a lot of regeneration, though. Now, trolls are pretty dang good, I think. I know a lot of people hate on trolls. But once they get a lot of kills typically, and once you get them to armored trolls, they have 120 armor, they're very good with Nurgle because you can defend their flanks really easily. You just kind of sprinkle them in with your melee. Oh, we go ahead and turn this on. Now, this guy is like just insane. He's one of the best lords in the game, I think. Because you have this you can just turn this on to activate it, and it basically gives you, like, double regeneration. It's 0.2% per second. Let these things go in first. And it doesn't cost any magic or anything. It's just permanent healing. Like, good healing. Or you can turn it over and do a lot of damage per second. So you can do a Mortis Engine effect. Just focus firing that giant out. I gotta get over there and disrupt them. God, yeah, I gotta just run them out of there, I think. Okay, so we can turn it over to damage here. Jesus, they really love that charge cycling. Okay, we need to get over here and kill these things. Now, these trolls might actually run. We'll see. I should have been doing this earlier. It's got pretty good magic too.
The dark gods command me.
Which one? Oh, we've got the damage one. Let's switch over to healing. There we go.
For the dark gods! The crow brings death! Yes, Lord! We love the sick!
Our Marauders might get shanked right here. So you still have the infections mechanic where you have that resource. I don't think the other ones have those resources. Like I don't think you do the tomes anymore for the Tzeentch one. You don't do the tomes for Tzeentch. You don't with Slaanesh, you don't have the purple resource, the seductive resource, whatever it is. Okay, so what we want to do now, anything that's single entity, when you end a battle, just try to run down what you can. Obviously, a lot of your units are really slow. Now, you can get, like Chaos Marauders and stuff like that, or those Poison Hounds to help you out. The Hounds, I don't believe, upgrade into anything, but those Marauders can upgrade into Chaos Knights. And that's obviously, it would be really good with Nurgle. So, you just sit over here at the end of the battle, just chill with your single entity units, your giants, your heroes, whatever. Full health. Right? So, I mean, you'd get a lot of replenishment anyways with Nurgle, but it's like the old vampire counts. It's called, group picture at the end, where you, with the old Nehikara, whatever, regeneration magic, that also, like, brought back dead units. So you would get all of your units just stacked up and just do overcasted, you know, healing every single time at the end of fights before everyone ran off the battlefield. So look at those trolls, man. They put in some work. Those Marauders with great weapons, too. I mean, the normal Marauders also put in good ones. I'm not sure if it's worth upgrading the great weapons yet, because you're missing the silver shields. But then again, there's so much regeneration anyways that it maybe doesn't matter. It's obviously going to be better against things like Chaos Knights, but... Okay, other Trickster Shard. But now this is where you kind of run into a problem. Do you want souls? You get some souls just for winning. Or do you want infections plus unit experience? Do you want souls and gold or infections? So you've kind of got that tension now. I kind of want these infections. You do get a little bit of both. The souls honestly don't matter as much. I don't know. They kind of do early on. It's such a tough choice. Guess we don't need that many infections. Alright, we'll do the souls to start. Okay, so obviously his aura stuff is insanely good. And then over here, casualties captured post-battle loot, so that's good for souls and that's good for infections. Infection cost minus 25%, so if you infect your own army with some of those plagues, that's really nice. You get the discount. Fleshy Abundance, so the Lord's Army plus 25% healing cap, really good. Fleshy Abundance, which is like heal for 20, like all of your units for 25% or something. It's crazy. It's one of the best spells in the game. Now, it is pretty expensive, but still really good. Extra casualty replenishment rate for your army. Diplomacy, sure. And then he personally gets Slime Trail, extra mass and hit points, okay. immune to contact effects, so he can't be, you know, burning contact effect, or poison's a really common one. Just anything that like basically debuffs off of melee attacks the enemy might have. Then you get plus 15% chance of spreading a plague. He already has plus 15%, I think, so that'd be plus 30. And that's a percentage of a base number. I don't know what the base number is, but it's not like if you get to 100%, it's not guaranteed to spread every turn. So you'll see a lot of these percentages get kind of high, but it's a percentage of a percentage, basically. So if the base chance to spread is like 25%, you get 100%, it would only give you 50% chance to spread total. And then Gardener of Nurgle, extra authority, speed for your, the enemy doesn't have as much speed. And then you're demonic, so you get an extra 25%, physical resist, all that stuff. As far as your technologies go, this early on, I think, 20% extra experience when you're fighting the forces of order. So anything that doesn't worship chaos. Particularly important for Festus because he starts down here rather than up in Norska. Extra souls, obviously good. Unholy resilience, plus 30% of your HP back. Quite good. And then you have post-battle loot, chance of stealing an item. And then over here, campaign movement, souls, loot, all that stuff. So, pretty good overall. Then he can cast magic too, but you'll probably have a magic caster. So what we want here, usually I like Hearts of Iron, but because Nurgle is just going to stay in combat and the fights are going to last so long anyways, your units are going to get too exhausted. So I don't know that it's that great right there. So I'll probably just do Root Marcher and Dominating Presence. You want this early. The leadership is very good, and then the extra experience per turn is good too. So.
What is a doctor without instruments?
And then this guy, you can get training. It's such a small amount though, but that can help you level your units up. Then again, he doesn't really need to fight that well, but I'll just go ahead and get melee attack with him. Now this Path to Glory, when you meet certain criteria, then you get these different bonuses. So he can get Unbreakable, which is regeneration, which would be quite good on him. Lose a battle and survive, ward save, or this Eldritch Aura, which gives missile resist, obviously quite good. Win a battle against an army led by a spellcaster. So, it's pretty good. You can get a lot of missile resist, by the way. So this would give 15%. This thing right here gives 15%, and there's a Nurgle one that also gives like 15 or 20%, so it's good. So I could mark these guys with Nurgle, but how expensive is it to do that? It's $225. I mean, great weapons would help them get more kills. That guy got quite a few last battle. Their upkeep goes up a little bit, but let me see. Do they normally have great weapons? So these guys don't, but they can get great weapons early. It's just gonna take them so long. How much is it to... Well, let's just go ahead and upgrade one and just see. Rank 3. Okay, so we can get to Forsaken for rank 3 if we really wanted to. Although I think the Warriors are better. It's rank 5. How much does that change the upkeep? Marginally, not much. Alright, I guess we'll do it. I'm not entirely sold that it's worth, but this might help them get more kills. Okay, and then do I want a dog? Being able to run stuff down is good, but I would much rather have the Marauder Horsemen to do that because they can actually upgrade into knights.
Contagious.
So the Nurgle authority, I didn't mention that yet. It's basically each army has a certain level of authority for any of the gods, and the higher the authority is, you get different bonuses. So it gives casualty replenishment, recruitment reduction for units of that type, upkeep reduction for units of that type, warband upkeep reduction for marking units of that type. And I think that's it, but it's a lot of bonuses. The most important one is the upkeep reduction and the replenishment. And the only way you can get authority is you have certain units that are marked in that way in your army, or skills or technologies. Okay, I think we just go in right here. We won't do anything too fancy. I think we're gonna run them over. We'll see. We gotta watch the giant. They're particularly vulnerable to missile fire because they're so huge. Trolls, less so. Like, trolls can still be shot at, but they're not as tall, and they have their own regeneration, so it's not as big of a deal. Okay. But giants are incredibly good at killing infantry blobs, but any sort of missiles, you're gonna have problems. I swear, the dude is so freaking strong, man. Festus. Compared to other, like, he's not, I mean, he will get quite a few kills because of that aura. I am likely going to play through a Helm and Gorse campaign, and that's the only other lord that I've seen so far that's on the same level in Warhammer 3 as far as, like, early game utter domination, because he basically has similar effects. AoE regeneration, and AoE damage. Oh my gosh, I forgot to bring him down. Wow, what? How did I... I even want to keep these here. I guess, yeah. So this is where having a Beast of Nurgle would be really good, just to kind of break this line up a little bit. That's such a good, like, the Nurgle stream is such a good early game, like, win spell, too. I wish he didn't have that freak chin, but I mean, it's whatever. Crap, what's going on? We gotta get them out of there. Getting shot at or something.
Brothers in decay! Let there be chaos! We have taken this position! The sickening company! Warriors of Nurgle, sent by darkness! Even unbound! Warriors of Nurgle, The crow brings death. Sent by darkness. Unbridled destruction. Regal of blight. Destroy it! Warriors of Nurgle! Glorious mutilation! Back up to the thrones! The Plague Lord!
I mean, you are, like, to be honest, if you are Nurgle, you are disfigured and kind of gross, but I don't know which Chaos God it would probably be, like, best to serve as one of his twisted little minions. He does seem to care about his people, though, in sort of a weird, twisted way. You are immune to disease, and in theory, you kind of live to old age. I don't know the lore of it. You're kind of eternal. Versus Khorne is just going to send you out to die, like, in battle. You're going to be twisted. Slaanesh is going to murder you in some kind of freak orgy. He's going to make you some kind of, like, human trafficked sex slave. Tzeentch is the one I don't know about. Probably use you as some kind of scheme, mind control you, something like that. Nurgle doesn't really seem to care. It seems like he lets you do your thing, you know? You just be kind of nasty, but he seems to be the friendliest one as far as I could tell. It's kind of a twisted friendly, but... I mean, ideally, you're sort of staying away from all of them, but I was thinking if you had to serve one, I guess it just kind of depends. If you survived, I guess Slaanesh might be kind of fun. Okay, so here... you can occupy and get... I think you don't want to burn, because you want to spread the corruption. So that's why I think, like, in battles, you take the souls, but when you're occupying, or when you get towns, you take the infections. That's kind of what I think I was doing mostly. You can sack and get extra experience. I mean... honestly, maybe that's worth... I mean, most of the time we are going to be sacking, because we're going to try to go for that bonus sack plague. I don't know if we have the movement on this turn to do it, and I want a little bit of replenishment, so... okay. And then as far as, like, these little buildings go, they're not that impressive, right? You can get replenishment. If you have a certain technology, it can let you get a Chaos Sorcerer. So you can store up more Marauders here, in theory. Upgrade costs for warbands are less here. Get Exalted Heroes here, if you have the tech. Magical item drop chance and souls gained from battle. I mean, that's good, but is that worth like 1,000 gold to get an extra like 150 souls? I mean, you can sell it. Ruinous Monuments again. Can increase that. Extra supplies and garrison. I mean, your garrison's pretty wimpy, but if they take it, it's like, who cares, you know? Like, you can just take it back later. It's annoying, but it's basically a free building. It's not like normal Nurgle towns if they take it, where it's like a huge deal. So, I think most of the time you just want to leave it blank. Again, I could see an argument for this one. So if you sell it back, you're going to get like 750, like 600 or 750 back. There are a lot of adjacent regions that I could be fighting here. If it gives me 300 souls, it's like 300 gold worth 300 souls. Probably. Okay. I guess we'll get that and just kind of see. With the thought that we might sell it. Okay. And then... Like, these are okay. Like, you get extra armor and melee attack for non-demonic infantry. I mean, that is good for your Warriors of Chaos units. Infantry. I'm trying to... Is that Forsaken? It does not include your monsters, I don't think. Cavalry and chariot units. War Beast yeah, okay. So it does not include your spawn and stuff like that. That's what this one is. I was trying to think, do I want to go... I think I still want this. The experience is obviously a big deal. Okay, and then next turn we'll hire some of these guys. Is it better just to go... Did these guys have kills? That guy has 1 rank. I mean, they're getting some. Maybe I should be trying, like, more Nurgle. Because they're going to be able to get more kills than with a lot of other factions, because most of your units are just sitting there punching people in the face, you know? It's rank 5 though, I think, for the Chaos Warriors. I think I'll wait. No regiments, no war bands. Okay. Oh yeah, over here, as far as your fortress goes, this as you upgrade, it gives you a little bit more like gold, supplies, all that usual stuff. But like these things, it allows you to hold 1 more of them, but I don't think you can hire them straight up. I could be wrong about that. The capacity. It doesn't say it gives you one, though. So, like, you definitely want the money one, for sure. It's 400 gold. And we'll upgrade that. Now, this thing, though, chance of plague spreading plus 50%. I don't know if that's just the town or if it's armies also. But that right there, like, using this as a base to just spread your plague everywhere seems really good. So I think that's what I did before. Okay. And then if you have this, armies province-wide, plague duration plus 100%, and chance of spreading plague plus 50% for armies in the province. So as soon as that comes up, we'll hire another ward and just have him sit there and just put plagues on him to spread, basically. And see if we can get him to spread to these other, like, nearby provinces. Okay. Yeah, he won't be able to step up to us. Alright. You can only have 6 gifted units in your army as well. So those things that you get from the gifts that you activated, you can only store like a couple, and then you have to put them in an army. It can go in any army, but okay, there we go. We already got 1 spread here. Plus 2 on the corruption. Is it really only 2? Yeah, this one's 2 as well. That one's 4. What plague does this go into? Festus's egg. This. So that's a 35% replenishment. Nurgle corruption +4. What are the components? Pestilence and mucus runs. Vanguard's very good. Oh, pestilence. That doesn't matter as much. It's already spread 4 times. What? But we're trying to get the money, right? Black Plague, Bubo's got Rot, Weeping Eyes. Okay. I think that's going to be it for this episode. Like I said, we're going to go a lot faster in future episodes. But I just wanted to kind of... I think I got every system. Hopefully that helps you guys out if you want to kind of, you know, play around yourself with everything. Here's the authority that I talked about. So right now we're getting minus 10% upkeep for Nurgle units. I don't think that's marked units of Nurgle. That's just like literal Nurgle units. So that is something to think about. And then recruitment for Nurgle units. Warband upgrade cost. Now that's interesting. No, maybe it is, maybe it does include marked units. I'm not 100% about that. Because you can't... I don't think you can upgrade non-marked warband units with Nurgle. Maybe you can. Like... Yeah, I guess you could get these Nurgle throwing axes and eventually turn them into Nurgle knights with lances. But again, these aren't like Nurgle proper units. These are undivided units that are marked with Nurgle. So, I don't know. Anyways, okay. Well, that's going to be it. We're going to keep rolling. Hopefully just blasting through Empire down here. This should be a pretty good fight at Middenheim next episode. So... stay tuned. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content, and I'll see you next time. Have a good day.